Excellent. So, like I said, thank you very much for joining us. I'm also joined by my dog, who's just sitting down there enjoying himself. Anyway, thank you for joining. As we go through this webinar, the general, I guess, format for this will be a presentation of around about kind of 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then plenty of time at the end if there are questions. Please do ask them if you have any questions or if you want to know any more about any of the details covered in this webinar or presentation, just ask. There's two ways you can do it. One is through the Q&A panel on Zoom. So if you have a question, drop it in there, and I will get to that at the end of the webinar. The second option is just in the chat function. So you can drop a question in there and ask it at any point if you wish to do so as well. So jump in, ask questions, and there'll be plenty of time to go through those at the end. And genuinely would love to hear from you if you have anything that you want to kind of go through. So the general topic for discussion today is B2B lead generation and what's working right now. This is really kind of a collection of what we see working well with our clients and also what we see working well with our own marketing. So it's a really kind of genuine view on kind of what's happening in the marketplace at the moment, what we're seeing kind of be successful for lead generation. It's not just a simple kind of regurgitation of best practice. So really do hope this is useful and there's good ideas in here and good food for thought for your campaigns. First off, at the core of what we offer at Overdrive Digital, we're a paid media agency. Our roots are very much in performance marketing. But from a lead generation perspective in B2B, it's a really important point to make. Like, it is not just purely about paid media. It's about getting everything right in the mix. Obviously, paid media can play a very important and big part of this, but it's not the only thing. What we're actually talking about here really is how you get more customers. Ultimately, this is the goal. This is what we're here for. We're here to kind of help our clients and help our businesses at the end of the day get more customers. And it's about finding out whatever methods we can find and whatever tactics and strategies we can deploy to hit that goal. But this is really what everything comes down to when we're talking about marketing for lead generation B2B. So back to basics, really, but quite a simple question. Like, what actually makes good marketing? What does good marketing look like? And I believe it ticks these three boxes. It attracts new customers and potential customers. It engages those new and potential customers, and it helps you convert those customers. That's what marketing does. And eventually, it has to pay for itself. And if it's not making money, then it's not making sense. But ultimately, your marketing activity should do one of these three things, or all three of them, but lead to new customers and more revenue for your business. That's what good marketing looks like. How does this happen? I really believe that this is the kind of the fundamental. It's about finding the right mix of activity for your business and your customers. And this is why best practice is sometimes not the best thing to follow because it's quite broad. And every business is different, every audience is different, and every set of potential customers is different. And they all require a different balance and a different mix. So it's about finding the right mix for your business and your customers. Sometimes it's actually easier to look at what doesn't work. So these are kind of three kind of mistakes, I suppose, that we see a lot, right? And when we're talking to new clients, and we're talking to new clients all the time, like these tend to be the things that crop up. So the first problem or the first mistake that often gets made is a lack of diversification. So never ever put all of your eggs into one channel or platform and expect that to be the be all and end all. Again, it's about finding a mix. Second thing is content and B2B isn't always just about LinkedIn. Clearly, like LinkedIn is a big fundamental part of B2B marketing. It's the platform. However, like it's not all about it. There are other ways to get to your customers that can be super effective and sometimes more cost effective than LinkedIn. So don't just think this is all only about LinkedIn. This is really important. Having the right expectations on marketing is vital. Like if you've got the wrong expectations, or the business has the wrong expectations, or you've failed to communicate the right expectations, then everything and everyone and all your activity is doomed from the start, right? So this is a really big thing and a mistake that we see a lot, and something that we have to really work towards achieving the right thing, the right set of expectations. And it all comes back to that kind of those three things. Like, is the marketing activity that you're working on about attracting new customers into your world? If so, the expectation shouldn't necessarily be direct leads and vice versa. So you really have to get the expectations right on the specific activity that you're running to stand any chance of success in the first place. Right, so let's think about top of funnel activity for a little bit. I think this is really key. And actually, within B2B and lead generation, sometimes this gets missed rather, because there's so much focus on, you know, direct leads, direct pipeline metrics, direct business KPIs, that the top of the funnel can sometimes get missed. But I think it's really, really important, because if you're not attracting new people into, again, your world, then you're going to really fail to kind of get those conversations flowing through. So really, this is all about attracting new customers. It's about kind of starting to engage them. But the challenge, I think, of top of funnel activity or any awareness activity is it can get really fluffy really quickly. So it's kind of talking about impressions, it's talking about reach, and yeah, those things are important and they do give you some degree of measure. But I would always encourage a form of like a tangible form of measurement for awareness. But what could you measure that's really tangible, that still achieves that awareness, but actually kind of is a little bit more meaningful for the business? So that could be even a page follow, a video view, or even better, an email acquired. You're still driving awareness, you're still attracting new customers, but you've got a very tangible way of measuring it. Momentum is really important here. And I think it's about building a consistent volume of qualified contacts. That to me is what top of funnel B2B activity is all about. And every month, just having a stream of new people coming into your system, new contacts being acquired, new people being attracted in, new people being engaged. And it's that momentum that can really, really make a difference. And I think this should be a part of any real kind of B2B marketing plan. When it comes to kind of how to run this specifically, I think it's really worth, we're talking about momentum, we're talking about volume, yes, but the quality of that is really, really key. And if you're talking about LinkedIn and LinkedIn advertising, it's more expensive than perhaps acquiring emails on Meta, but the quality tends to be so much higher. So I really do think it's worth paying a premium if you can for platforms like LinkedIn to get quality new contacts in at the top of your funnel. And I would always prioritize that personally over volume. So what works? Content is obviously really important here. I think at this stage of the funnel, it's about selling your or promoting your expertise and knowledge in your sector. It's not necessarily about promoting your services. It's about promoting your knowledge. So things like webinars, just like this one, guides, white papers, big research pieces, online training, virtual Q&A panels. You can kind of dress these things up as you wish. But content that you can put out there and really provide some value and education with, that's really kind of the key. And again, it's just about selling your knowledge and expertise more than anything else at that point. Then when it comes to kind of capturing lead data, should you use lead forms on the platforms? LinkedIn provide lead forms, Meta provides lead forms, Google provides lead forms as part of their campaigns. But should you use those lead forms, or should you use a landing page? This is something that I believe really should be tested, and would highly recommend you test as you start to plan your campaigns. Typically, what we see is a lower CPA and a higher conversion rate when using platform native forms. It's so easy for someone to sign up and register or get your content through one of those forms that the conversion rate will be higher. But typically, the quality can be higher when you're directing someone to a landing page. So the balance and the experimentation and the testing here is about, do we go for a lower CPA and a higher conversion rate, or do we sacrifice CPA but get a higher quality of contact? That's for you to decide and you to test, but that's really the experimentation here. When it comes to search, I think Google Ads still very much has a place and a part to play in B2B advertising and B2B marketing. I think the focus really should be on high intent search. But when you get it right, the platform can still be extremely effective for lead generation. But you've got to be really considered and really careful. Obviously, Google Ads will play better to some products and services and some sectors and audiences than others. So you've really got to work out those specifics based on what you're selling, the value of what you're selling, how easy the conversion is, how long the sales process is. Again, like what point are you trying to solve? What purpose are you trying to serve by using Google Ads? I think with Google Ads, you've got to aim for control. And this is where we talked about this a lot on a previous webinar, but where the balance of best practice and what actually works for lead generation and B2B can sometimes conflict. So if you go into Google Ads or you talk to anyone about Google Ads, particularly at the platform, they will push you towards campaigns like Performance Max. Typically, we don't see those automated campaigns working particularly well for B2B, especially when it's a high value, low volume service that you're trying to promote. So I would say try and keep as much manual control as you can when you're trying to deliver good quality leads through Google Ads. Pick your match types extremely carefully. These have changed enormously over the last kind of 3, 4, 5 years. Exact match is no longer really exact match, but it's the closest to exact as you can possibly get. Definitely a good choice if you're selling a service that's quite nuanced and quite specific. Obviously, the thing we're trying to avoid here is going too broad and appealing to maybe consumer traffic and starting to pay for clicks that just will never convert. Exact match is a good choice. Phrase match can also be a really good choice, but watch your search terms like a hawk and add negatives in. So when you run phrase match, Google already have quite a lot of freedom to go off and bid on different search terms that might not be 100% relevant to what you're doing. So watch your search term report like an absolute hawk, add negatives if you need to. And I would say for B2B, particularly if it's a niche service that you're selling, avoid broad match. Like Google just tends to struggle to understand the nuances that tend to be involved in B2B. So my view would be exact match, definitely, phrase match, potentially, but watch your search terms. Broad match, I'd probably avoid for B2B. So just keep looking through your search terms report. Like this is really the key to avoiding wasted spend. It has been forever. It still is. I think it will always be important as long as it's there. So look out for things like consumer type terms. So if you're promoting a B2B business, the last thing you want to be doing is paying for consumer traffic. Think about anything outside of your niche, anything outside of your remit, any search terms coming through that just don't match what you're offering. We also see a lot of irrelevant locations coming through when clients are bidding on phrase match. So look out for these things, add negatives regularly, try and do this at least once a week, and you'll keep as much control as you possibly can over your campaigns and how your budget is being spent. Organic is obviously quite different. So if it's thinking about search broadly, I would say paid search is about high intent, really close to service, really close to buying type traffic. Organic, I think, can serve a really different purpose. So with organic, I would say kind of think about queries and questions and phrases people will use when they're early on in the buying process and write content that's going to answer those questions and get in front of them at that point. I think organic is a really, really good method of doing that. So it's about aiming for the long tail, trying to cast a market-wide net with your content and your organic strategy, and then coming in for the high intent head terms with paid search. This is one way to think of it. If you're taking this route for SEO, like it's really also going to help with your visibility in LLMs and AI. So they tend to really like this query-based content that directly answers questions. So if you're trying to build visibility in LLMs, then that organic strategy is really going to help here as well. So it's a nice kind of two birds with one stone type approach. All right, so let's think about content for a bit. And one of the challenges with content is being able to produce enough and keep enough coming through. And one of the really key things, if we're talking about just broadly B2B marketing and lead generation, is having a set of activities that you can do and you can do well, you can afford to do, but also you can keep going. Like maintaining content is really, really important. So it's finding a way to produce engaging content regularly. Like, how can we do that? I think podcasts are a really, really good way of doing this. There's a number of reasons, and there's obviously lots of other content you can produce from articles to FAQs to video, specifically for social. There's tons you can do, but I think podcasts are a really, really good option if you're thinking about producing content over the long term. Because from a 1 hour recording session, you can get so much out of that. Let's have a look through. So, obviously, first off, audio. We'll just talk through this as an example. So, with a podcast, audio is obviously king. So, if you record your audio, you can distribute that via a platform like Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout then connects to all the different players like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, they're all listed here, and then publishes your podcast to those players via a good old RSS feed. So instantly, you're in all these different places. Your content's distributed very, very easily and very quickly. And it's a good way of, again, casting your net. Video. So I would say always try and film if you're doing a podcast, because again, you can get so much from it. So if you film a video version of your episode, and edit that specifically for YouTube. So that might not mean doing the full episode, but thinking about those initial hooks, pulling people in, how are you going to get people to stay for as long as possible through that video? But again, it can be really, really good for getting additional views. And then cut those videos for social. So if you've got the audio version, that's distributed across all the players. You've got your video picking up extra views and traffic and momentum on YouTube. Use those files and get extra video cut for social. So Descript is a really good tool you can use to do this. It's about $30 a month, I think, ish. So reasonably affordable. And from one click, you can get 4, 5, however many snippets cut from your video, captions included, everything there, ready to go. So that can then be used on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, wherever you need to put it. So instantly, from that 1 hour, you've got audio across lots of players. You've got video on YouTube. You've got video cuts for social, all from that 1 hour recording. Obviously, transcriptions. So Descript will also transcribe your audio file for you. There's lots of other services as well that will do this. It's, Descript, I think, is very good if you're looking for transcriptions, but this can be great for blog posts and articles. So again, you can pick up that long tail organic traffic and also start to kind of get visibility from these episodes in LLMs as well, and then also chop that up for posts on LinkedIn. So from that 1 hour, you're getting a massive amount of content that you can kind of distribute and repurpose across lots of different platforms. So if we think about content as a way of just keeping stuff going and how can you keep that pipeline of content coming in, things like podcasts are a great way of getting loads and loads of material. This is a bit of a story about kind of I guess, like our experiment with some marketing this year. So we've kind of really focused on online events, webinars like we're on today. Um, lots of content on LinkedIn, all the usual stuff, but also kind of exclusive small breakfast events. And like I'm a massive believer in this statement. I love doing these webinars. It's really good to have everyone on here. It's great to connect with people online. It's really good to build kind of those online connections, but face to face is so, so good. Um, so we've been running regular breakfast events this year. We're now doing one every 2 weeks in London. By the way, if you're in London, you want to come to one, please let me know. But it's been a real like game changer for us, I would say, in terms of, engaging and attracting new potential customers. So I think it's a really good way of building new contacts, building your network, building those relationships out. And it does it in a way that really kind of complements any online activity. It gives you real kind of face-to-face interactions. And if you're thinking about building new relationships, again, nothing will ever be better than face-to-face. It's also really cost effective. So if you think about a cost of a breakfast in London or a dinner in London, compared to other marketing activity, it's really kind of quite affordable and quite cost effective. So it's not as kind of investment heavy, if you like, as you might think. And it's been really, really good for us. So the way to promote these outbound, so if you use a tool like Lusher or Cognism, build those audiences, push those out, really kind of drive to get people into the events in that way is really, really effective. And we see a lot of benefit online as well. So one of the big points, I think, is about finding this mix of activity where everything complements itself, right? So online activity complementing offline activity, activity complementing online activity, and everything starts to grow together. And that's really what a good mix does, is everything, this bit fuels that bit, and that bit fuels that bit, and it all starts kind of cycling. The flywheel starts going. Onto email. And this really should underpin everything, in my opinion. So, CRM and having a good, thorough CRM implementation is critical and vital to any success here. Like, it's really the glue that ties and holds everything together. And if you don't have this, then it's all just never really going to pull together. So, CRM is massively important. Start by thinking about what data you need. Like, what is it that you will want at the point of sale, even if it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months down the line? What data will you need to see to be able to attribute a measure against your initial marketing efforts? Because you should be able to do that no matter how long it takes. So think about source data, think about triggers that you're going to need throughout that process to send email campaigns or re-engage people. Like map it all out, draw it out, get a good old big bit of paper and a Sharpie pen out and like just write it all down. But really think about what data you need and make sure you're capturing it correctly in your CRM. At a very minimum, I would say initial entry source. Where did this contact come from originally? Then what campaigns have they come through? What ads have they clicked on? What keywords have they searched for? Anything you can get like that and put into this CRM is going to be gold dust when it comes to the point of sale. What marketing interactions have they had? What content have they downloaded? What events have they been to? What webinars have they been on? All that sort of stuff should be recorded. Email engagement as well, like what are their open rates, who's opening what, who's getting what, all these types of things are really, really important. Um, Genuinely, this isn't a pitch, but we are partners with Pipedrive. So if anyone wants to talk about Pipedrive as a CRM, do let me know. I think it's brilliant. I've used it for ages. It is really, really good. I thought at the end of this, I'd just throw in a few frequently asked questions that come up at some of our events and in discussions. And obviously, again, if anyone's got questions, please do ask. Like, drop your own questions into the Q&A panel or the chat. But these things come up a lot. So does cold outreach work? Yes, 100% it does. Only if, though, you've got the right offer and you're appealing to people in the right way. LinkedIn's oversaturated, email's oversaturated. No one wants to pick up their mobile phone to a number they don't recognize. So you have to have something really, really strong. But if you do, yes, it does work. A LinkedIn ad's too expensive. Not if you are looking at it from a CPA and an end business perspective and a quality perspective. Yes, LinkedIn is an expensive platform, but typically the quality of the results or the cost per quality result tends to be lower than other platforms because the targeting is obviously so good. What content works? We're seeing trends with UGC style content and influencer style content in B2B. I think that's going to continue through next year, but ultimately, it's anything that offers value, I think, is the content that works. Is Google dead? No, absolutely not. Yes, the LLMs are picking up more traction and people are starting to see more traffic and more leads come through the LLMs, but Google is absolutely not dead. Google Ads is not dead. Keep going. It's still a very, very valid platform. And does anyone watch webinars? Yes, because we're on here. Just a quick note how we can help. If anyone's interested, we do offer a 1 day marketing review and workshop. So if you wanted a little bit more insight into what you could be doing better, if you wanted some of our learnings from working with our other clients, let me know. We typically cover kind of auditing current activity, reviewing performance data, talk to you about your targets, and then we have a workshop session to talk through recommendations and the outcomes. So it's a set of initial recommendations and an easy to implement 12-week plan. So if anyone's interested, do let me know. All right. If there are any questions, please do drop them in. But hopefully that was helpful. Let's come out of here and see. Perfect. All right. Excellent. So, one question around LinkedIn budgets and how much you should put into LinkedIn as a minimum. Um, it's a really good question because the cost of traffic on LinkedIn is quite high. Um, I would always say kind of 2,000 per campaign or per month would be the minimum on LinkedIn. Otherwise, you're just not going to get enough traction and enough traffic or enough learning. So that's what I would put as the minimum. There's no real golden rule. There's no real hard and fast rule. But given the cost of traffic and when you're paying 10, £12 a click, budgets do go quite quickly on LinkedIn. Do we have any other questions? That's the only one I've got so far. No? Okay. Perfect. Well, look, thank you so much to everyone for joining. I really hope that was useful and helpful and interesting. Please do get in touch. So contact me on LinkedIn. Would love to hear from you. Drop us a note. If you've got any questions, shout. And we'll pop round the recording of this session via email, either later today or tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining and have a great rest of your Thursday.